Hello there again, and it's good to be with you on Connect Africa with me, Blessed Suga. Over the next half hour, I will be your host, but first, though, we have news from around the continent.
At least 5 people have died while crossing the English Channel, according to French media, hours after the UK approved the migrant deportation bill. The Voix du Nord newspaper said the bodies were discovered at a beach in northern France. The rescue operation is ongoing and helicopters and boats have been deployed, according to the regional newspaper. About 100 migrants have been rescued and placed aboard a French Navy ship. As Kenya's meteorological department forecasts more heavy rains this week, the number of people impacted by the above-average March to May rains continues to rise. Residents of Machakos County were stranded by floodwater that destroyed their homes and farms. The Kenyan Red Cross team responded to a distress call on Monday evening to save the people marooned by water and trapped in their houses. Nigeria has said it is seeking up to $2.25 billion in World Bank loans in a statement by Finance Minister Wale Edun. Speaking following the IMF World Bank spring meetings in Washington, D.C. other weekend, Edun said the Nigerian government is also aiming to issue diaspora bonds later this year to attract foreign exchange into the country.
And it's good to be with you here on the Joy News channel on Connect Africa. We take you to Nigeria first because the owners of a Chinese supermarket in Abuja have been summoned to appear before the Nigerian Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission over allegations that they deny entry to African shoppers. The Chinese-owned supermarket in Nigeria's capital was actually shut down by the authorities last Monday. They've been updating the public on why this decision was taken based on the reports that were received from some Nigerians. You see now on the screens are some of the pictures of the shutdown of that supermarket, and of course it's a good time now to be crossing over to Nigeria itself to find out what the controversy is all about regarding this very news that we're hearing and of course it's a good time to be crossing over now and hearing from some of the people who've been following these stories for us on the Joy News channel. I want to bring in now a Nigerian journalist who was there and has been following through on this story. Ayodeji Adeboyega is a reporter joining us from Nigeria. Thank you so much for spending some time with us here on Connect Africa. Quite a, buzz it created on social media when it first came out with many reactions to what it is that's been happening there in Nigeria ever since this shop was shut down. But what more are Nigerians saying about this?
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Well, Nigerians are not happy about it because it does not sound right. Having another country come to your country to chance you. Let me use that word, because how would you be in Nigeria and then you are allowed to operate in Nigeria and then you are restricting Nigerians from participating, from getting something from you? It's already sound bad. So Nigerians are not having it easy at all. Nigerians have been probing the FCCPC, calling them to close down the building, to close down the business. That is what is going on right now.
Interestingly, you were part of that, of course, force. You were not necessarily responsible for closing the shop, but you were firsthand a witness to what was happening. Do you feel that, the officials indeed had established that this was what was taking place in that shop?
Well, I was there on Monday. I was there with the FCCPC. First, what's it called? The law is they would summon the owners of the supermarket, and that is what they have done. When we got there on Monday, the place was locked. We got to the building because it's an estate, Royal Choice Estate. So the estate had like different, different tenants. One of them is the supermarket lady. And according to the facility manager, he said they rented out the place to the lady. as a residential place and then as like a business place. So she stays there with her workers, and then she also run a business there. So the agreement was to get things and then to make life easier for people in that facility, and of course outside, because according to him, there was nothing in the agreement that said Nigerians will not be able to patronize. Nigerians will not be able to get things from that facility. So when we got there, we saw that the gate was locked. But looking at the CCTV footage, we saw that the place was opened earlier in the morning. I think around 8:30. People were doing their business there. Around 8:30, two vehicles left the building. One believing to have the owner inside. The owner go by the name Cindy Bay, I think. We've learned. So since that time, the place has been locked, but the summon has been served. The FCCPC posted the summon on the gate, and then she's expected to show up at the commission by Wednesday, which is tomorrow, 11 a.m. Wednesday tomorrow. And if she doesn't, well, there are sanctions.
I see. The Nigerian, the Chinese business community in Nigeria, they've also been reacting to this. It appears that they're challenging, the narrative that it is the case that this supermarket is involved in some racial segregation, if you want to call it as such.
They have denied it. They said there is nothing of such, but people that it happened to came online, and then there were video evidence that this happened. Even though there were some of the workers that we saw in the estates, Nigerians, they told us that as of last year, people were able to get things from that supermarket. But since January this year, 2024, they've stopped Nigerians from going in to get anything. And that was what happened to the Nigerian. That was what happened to the young man that came online to complain. And after he complained, there were other Nigerians that also went there and got video evidence saying they could not be allowed, they did not allow them entry into that supermarket.
I see. Going forward, what kind of reforms are taking place in Nigeria now after the emergence of the story, and how would you say that will affect, consumer, perception around the Chinese community in Nigeria?
The atmosphere is actually tense right now. For now, I know that the commission is trying to, the FCCPC is trying so hard to write this, because the sanction is, I think if the owner of that supermarket does not appear in the commission by tomorrow 11, I think the sanction is should have to pay 20 million naira or go to jail 3 years, or the two of them. So if they are able to correct this, if they are able to bring this up, I think others that are happening, because we've been hearing of a lot of others, other countries coming to Nigeria to treat Nigerians a certain way. So if the commission is able to at least right this particular wrong, or get what exactly is really happening here, I think that would also affect others, and then we'll get the desired results.
And of course, so far, no comments yet, of course, from the Nigerian leadership, I'd say, but except to say that some few politicians have been latching onto this, making a political capital out of it. How is it playing out in terms of politics in Nigeria?
For now, not much of them. I know of Shehu Sani that some of them have asked that the supermarket be brought down, which is just normal. This is just normal. This is just natural, and that's just about it for now.
I see. If the Chinese involved fails to pay, are we certain that prosecution will take place? Is that what the authorities are giving in terms of firm assurances?
Oh, well, let's just believe them on this, because all eyes are on them. Let's believe them on this. All eyes are on them. I don't think Nigerians are ready to allow this slide. I doubt if Nigerians are ready to allow this slide, because this has been trending for days, and then a lot of people are still going there. Even after some had made videos and then confirming what had happened, some people are still going. So I doubt if the commission is going to even downplay this. I want to believe them on that.
And there are those who are even pointing out that this is very rare in Nigeria and that it may just be an Abuja problem. Is that the case?
Oh, well, I am in Abuja here, and then this happened in Abuja. But there have been cases in the past, there have been reports in the past of, like I said earlier, other countries coming to establish businesses in Nigeria and then treating Nigerian staff a certain way. So I doubt if it is just an Abuja thing. I cannot also confirm.
Okay, well, we're also keeping our eyes on what may transpire in the next few hours or days. We're grateful for your time, but any final comments to those Nigerians in the diaspora who's also been using social media to react to what's happening?
Well, I wouldn't say, or how do I put it? Well, they should just stay on it. Premium Time, the medium that I report for, we are on it 247. Any developments would be updated.
Okay, Ayodeji, I'm grateful that you're connecting with us from Abuja and right now from Accra. We say thank you for spending some time with us. Now, UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has announced that the first deportation flights to Rwanda could occur within the next 10 to 12 weeks, aiming to resolve the parliamentary deadlock over a key policy pledge that he made ahead of the anticipated upcoming elections. Now, the House of Commons is scheduled to debate the bill, followed by deliberations in the House of the Lords. Now, Sunak is also urging the unelected House of Lords to cease obstructing the legislation, which will now permit the authorities to deport certain asylum seekers to Rwanda. Well, he aims to fulfill his campaign vow to stop the boats, as he says, and of course we'll be following up on that Rwanda asylum deal. But of course we've also been speaking to the Rwandan High Commissioner here in Ghana, Rosemary Mbabazi, who's also been pointing out how Rwanda is open now for business and is solely focused on economic development. Yes, he's doing transformational leadership, but on the other hand, he's facing criticism for using this remembrance period as a political tool. He's been responding to that himself. How do you convince the world that you're not using this dark part of your history to consolidate the regime of one man?
It's not a regime, it's a government that was elected. He was elected by over 90% of our citizens, so it's not a regime, it's a fully fledged government. And I wouldn't say we are basing so much about the international or the criticism elsewhere. Yeah. Everybody's criticized somewhere. And whenever you're doing something good, someone else is seeing something else. And we don't pay much attention to what others might be seeing in Rwanda. We are focused on our development. And what we focus on is our development. Where do we want to be, irrespective of the opinions of other people, because they will always be there anyway. Even at a personal level, you can imagine whatever you do, someone else is not impressed by that, can say something against it. And for you, you keep focused on track and where you want to go, and you keep on track. So we are a resilient nation. We are looking forward even to do much more, but still challenges are still there. I don't want to say everything, we have achieved it all, and we're still having, that's why we have Vision 2035, Vision 2050, where we want to develop our economy and develop our country and be more resilient and prosperous over years to come. So we don't dwell too much about the criticism. They will always be there. And we're not doing anything to impress anybody. We are doing it for ourselves.
Economic Commission for Africa, which is now rating Rwanda as amongst the top 20 fastest developing economies around the world. How are you doing this in the midst of what some experts are describing as turbulence for many African countries, even in Ghana where we are, of course, with these countries facing their own version of an economic meltdown? What is the Rwandan success story that every other neighboring country or African country should be learning from?
Maybe to start from there, we don't intend to teach any African country. If they feel they want to learn something, we're happy to share. But the objective is only to do what is best for us, and if someone really appreciates it, can join, and we're happy to partner and support. But in terms of economic growth, as you rightly said, we are focused on, and we're one of the fastest growing economy, as you said. It is deliberate. It is not by accident. These are policies, the macroeconomic policies that are put in place, the policies that are put in place to ensure that this happens. As we are an agrarian country based on agriculture, we are trying to diversify. We have coffee, tea, and minerals as well that we export, and horticulture that we export as well. But also we diversify, and we're adding in a lot of activities that happen in the country, what we call MICE, to promote tourism. Tourism across the value chain of the tourism sector. And MICE is to focus on meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions. So we become a center for East Africa and Southern Africa and the entire African continent to be a center for events, conferences, because we have security, because we are green, because we are also secure, as I said, but also we also have technology that is enabling us to implement all this. We also have an airline, right, Rwanda, that spreads its wing. They say they spread the wings across Africa. They make it much easier to connect to the country. And being safe and secure and easy to connect, we attract more incentives, and we attract many conferences happening in Rwanda, and that is already businesses happening in Rwanda, connecting business and creating jobs as well. But also in terms of agriculture, we do agricultural diversification and crop intensification. Though we are not a big country, we also have planned agriculture, where we look at using fertilizers, but also irrigation, mechanization, and as well as looking at one crop and we grow it across. So we do a sharing of land with the community members, and they become outgrowers of a specific product of crop that they are growing for a certain industry that is coming up. So we're encouraging much more diversification, and we do much more in terms of increasing exports so that we can have more export earning. The Continental Free Trade Area has also enabled us.
I was just about going there because
I think I'm reading what
it's part of the criticism, isn't it? The fact that intra-Africa trade is significantly low, below that's below 15%, and yet when you look at what many of the African countries are doing, the exports are much more targeted towards the global north. Why are we not readying ourselves to trade amongst each other? It's taking just about 8 countries now to run what is being called the Guided After Trade Initiative. Rwanda is not part of that, is it?
It's one of the initiators. Rwanda is among the first 8. Actually, they are now 30. And Rwanda started right with Ghana. Right. They were among the first countries. And if you remember, this memoriam, this milestone of signing the Continental Free Trade Area was done in Kigali. So we are among the first that ratified the Continental Free Trade Area, the convention and the protocols. And we are so excited about it because we believe we can share a lot as a continent. We should not lose hope. It's the beginning, and we should not think that we should. It seems we want to expect so much in the fastest, because they started when there are 8 countries. Right now there are 30. So you can imagine how many are remaining. And there's a lot happening already. Of course, there are some non-tariff barriers that are still there, but we believe over time they're going to be resolved because there's a political will. There's a will from the political aspect, from the leadership. There's also a will from the business community that is already trading across. There's also facilitation to make it happen. So I'm always a high believer of the integration on the continent, and I believe it will happen even when we're still watching, when we're still here and watching the space.
High Commissioner, integration should be happening in an atmosphere of peaceful relations with neighboring countries and sister African nations. So we start off from your region. The East African community has been experiencing some level of tension, isn't it? Even in Rwanda, where your president is raising concerns about the posture of neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo and other issues that are emerging. How are you working to resolve this heightened tension within the East African community?
There's a framework that is already being discussed, and this framework is there's already an ongoing discussion between our heads of state. One of them is the Rwanda processes, which is led by the president of Angola, and there's also Nairobi process, which is also undergoing and being led by the former president Kenyatta, Uhuru Kenyatta. So there's already, everyone knows that we need to do something, and we as Rwanda, we want to be very peaceful with the neighborhood, as our president always emphasizes, and our wish is to have peaceful environment and peaceful neighborhood. And so the efforts are underway through diplomatic channels, and this is already going on. So let's watch, and there's a lot coming up.
I see. And of course, moving that to the framework that we all belong to, of course, as Africans, we belong to other multilateral organizations which you share generally with the people of Ghana, and that's the Commonwealth. Even before we get to the Commonwealth, I want us to start off by talking about the special relations between Ghana and the people of Rwanda. What's your assessment of that relations so far, and where would you say we are now?
The relationship between Rwanda, that bilateral relation between the two countries, is very good and very strong, and it ranges way back in 1994 when the genocide was happening. The Ghanaian contingent at the UN peacekeeping mission stayed with Rwanda when the UN had given them instruction to withdraw. But the Ghanaian contingent stayed, so Ghana stayed with us, and so we are so grateful from that beginning. And we have been strengthening all this relationship over time.
And always be ready to watch a playback of that conversation with Rosemary Babasi on the Joy News channel and all of our social media handles. You're watching Connect Africa here on the Joy News channel. We'll be right back. Please stay. And of course, that's all time will allow us here on Connect Africa with you. But in the meantime, you have a lot of stories making the rounds here at myjoyonline.com with a lead story of Nigeria's telecom sector being threatened by economic challenges. That's an article you might want to read about. And also from Africa, it's now moving all the way to Canada, 174 countries as we know it, and now in Ottawa for the Plastic Pollution Summit. You want to read all about that at myjoyonline.com. I'm Lethal Soga. I will see you again. This has been Connect Africa. Thanks for your time.